to be done now and what could be deferred till later on in the day or later on in the week, you'll end up realizing that at the end of the day, you feel frustrated and unfulfilled. Prioritize your time and prioritize your day. My name is Samuel Jonathan, and I'm saying to you that yes, you can.
It's still the breakfast show here on Ghana television, and our first discussion takes a look at inclusive education. Now, education is an important tool for national development, but it's still facing some issues when it comes to educating students with disabilities or special needs. I have some experts in the house who are going to help us discuss intensively what inclusive education is all about. And to my immediate right, I have Thomas Patrick Otta. Patrick Otta is the Deputy Director for Special Education Division, GES. Next to him is Sefako Kumabu Pome, who is the Policy Analyst and the founder of Enlighten and Empower People with Disabilities, Eepd. Welcome to the studio, ladies and gentlemen. How are you doing?
We are fine, and you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing great. Now let's start our discussion with defining what inclusive education is all about.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I want to say hi to the listeners and to you who have made it possible for us to meet here today. Inclusive education is difficult to define.
Okay.
It may be very simple to explain.
Okay.
So that in the whole world, there is no single, universally accepted definition for inclusion.
Okay.
There are many definitions,
okay.
and they vary
okay.
from place to place because of different cultural circumstances, availability of resources, personnel, and all that.
Okay.
So each country tries to define it to suit its circumstances or systems. However, there have been some definitions put forward by other individuals and organizations.
Okay.
I would say that inclusive education refers to a wide range of strategies and activities that promote learning in all children, no matter their circumstances. But in 2010, UNESCO tried to define inclusive education as a process of addressing and responding to the diversity of needs of children so far as learning is concerned, cultures, systems, that also will make them be able to learn and acquire knowledge and skills to develop themselves. And also trying to all exclusionary factors to be minimized, to reduce exclusion and make sure that every child, irrespective of his or her circumstances, of his or her limitations, get access to quality and equitable education.
But how effective is this since it has to do with disabilities?
Not all disabilities, but in fact, inclusive education does not focus on disabilities.
Okay.
In fact, it is for all children, and it should be able to address all the learning needs, not only disabilities. But people tend to think that inclusive education is for those with disabilities, though it may form a certain part of it. But actually, it covers so many things, so that anybody at all, some may not have a physical disability, but they have other special problems. They look normal, they can hear, they can see, they have average or more of intelligence, but still, they lack certain things. It is not for those who are blind, not for those who are deaf, not for those who are physically challenged to be included. No. Talks about including all children,
Okay.
no matter their circumstances.
Okay.
Good.
You wanted to add something before?
Yeah, so just as he explained, I would like to also add that it has a focus
Okay.
on people with disabilities.
Mm-hmm.
Just because we are trying to do away with marginalization and make sure that people with disabilities, whether hidden or visible, should be included in the educational system. So this has been a strategic plan by the government,
Okay.
with a focus on the Constitution, with the Disability Act, and other international treaties which have brought into this process. So even as we are trying to say that it is for everybody, the focus is really on people who have different abilities
Okay.
and who have different needs, because in the process of helping them to achieve education equally and equitably, you are going to have special attention, special needs towards them.
Okay.
So inclusive education, as he said, it's for everybody, but the focus is on people with disabilities. Just as we don't have some of the disabilities mentioned, or we don't have names for them here.
Okay.
We have different disabilities. Some are hidden, some are very visible, that you can see. So, but the focus is on people with disabilities to make it easy for them to realize what it entails to be educated in the formal setup.
Okay.
So in this process, we have a lot of actors in it. It's not only for Ministry of Education, it's not only for the government. We have a lot of actors like disability institutions, or let's say disability organizations. Even the community has to be well informed about this inclusive education, because it has to boil down to attitudinal change. For instance, if we are talking about somebody who has a Down syndrome, that has to be in the educational system. How do we cater for such a child as we are talking about inclusive education? So in this process, presently, we are running a process which in the educational system, we call them the unit schools, which in a regular school, we have a special or a unit school, maybe with a blind or maybe with a Down syndrome. For instance, we have one in Dansoma on the regular school compound.
Okay.
But with this, they must have a special teacher, a special psychologist, occupational therapist.
Okay.
I mean, all those people coming on board make it very unique. And the focus must be on people with disabilities, so that they can also achieve whatever the regular students have been achieving in the process of formal education.
Okay.
Yeah, let me add. I want to expand the focus.
Okay.
The focus is not only on persons with disability.
Okay.
It is on all those who are likely to be excluded.
Likely to be
The vulnerable, the girl, those of the minority groups, those who, even the poor.
Okay.
The poor, people who are very poor, that they may not have access to education. So not only on disability, but the focus is there on persons with disabilities and those who are vulnerable and who are likely to be excluded, like the shepherd boys from poor homes, poor backgrounds, those who are even sick or have some certain diseases, who are likely to be excluded.
But when you include the poor, doesn't mean it's going to be free. Because with the poor, the only problem they might have is paying fees, not with studying or something. So doesn't mean education is going to be free.
Even looking at education, education must be free, especially the basic level.
Okay.
The minimum standard of education that everybody should acquire, from KG to JSS 3. At least this should be free, made free, so that the poor can also enjoy education.
Okay.
Yeah.
But mingling the disabled with, sorry to say, the normal student, how are they
I
going
would prefer you to use the regular student.
the regular
not the
student?
normal.
Okay. Mingling them with the regular students, how is it going to work? How is the teacher going to assist both?
Yeah, it is difficult to do that, but we need to train all teachers
Okay.
with the right pedagogy. the right teaching, learning approaches, the methods. When they are trained, they will be able to reach out to the child who has a problem. If not only that, there must be other people to add to the teacher's efforts to make sure that such children are covered. So unless teachers are trained to use the right, appropriate, and relevant approaches, methods, teaching and materials to teach them, it is not easy. So all children must be brought on board. But the regular teacher, without any training in special needs or inclusion, would find it difficult to reach out to every child in the teaching learning situation.
So, when we talk about, you want to add up before I come on that question?
Just as Patrick has said, apart from the training, we need flexible curriculum.
Sure.
And we need children's participation. You know, they are going to mingle with the regular students. We have to come from that angle also to let these children know that these children or these students are also human beings just like them. We have to go back to the parents back at home to let them have that idea that these children have nothing but what? Special needs, which maybe some are very they are very high, how do we call it, the gifted children, that they can't just sit down and follow the trend. So we have a lot of things to be on place, or we need to put so many things to be on place: the parents, the children, the teachers, the curriculum, even the structures. The structures, apart from having it on paper that this is the policy that we have, what are the structures in place? I mean, physical structures that I mean. For instance, if you have a child in my class, as a teacher, I'm a teacher as well. You should really think about what I need as a teacher with physical disability to take care of such a child. Or what does that child of physical disability or mental disability has? What needs does that child or those children have, so that we see to those ones before we can even say that we are practicing it. But those are another issues that maybe on the next.
But when we talk about disabilities, you know, we have the mild, we have the severe. So how are they going to blend with the regular students? Because, for instance, if you have a blind student in your class, how are you going to manage that student with the regular students?
So one way or the other, let's say you have a class of 40 children. And you have only one child who is having a special need. That doesn't mean that you should neglect all the 40 children and have the attention on this one. But that is why we need trainers. I mean, the special teachers in the classrooms now. For instance, the outside world or the developed world that we are trying to follow, they have a child to a teacher. For instance, in the U.S., the children are arranged with the special teachers. Even a child can have more than 10 teachers. Yes. That child who is having maybe muscular dystrophy needs a psychologist, needs a special attention, needs this and that, from the medical aspect to the social aspect. How do we let this child be involved in the classroom? But we don't have those structures in place yet. So it's very difficult, just as Patrick has said, very, very difficult, even as it is something that we are talking about so seriously that now Ghana is practicing, or it's in the process of having inclusive education, from the education for all. We are now saying inclusive education. So in that aspect, we are trying to say we are mainstreaming. The children should have some link with the regular children. So one main focus that this has is, if this child who has a special need can just spend some hour of maybe art class with a regular student, that is perfect.
So it doesn't mean it's the whole school?
No, it's not the whole process, like how we go and learn calculus and what. No, we want these children or this child to have access to the classroom setup, so that they are not specialized in any classroom. They are not quiet. They are not, I mean, how do I put it? They are not just segregated.
Okay.
That is what we are trying to avoid.
Okay.
And they can share, if it is a PE time, they can share. If it's just having the social life with the children and things that they can do easily, that is why they have the special teachers with them, and they know their needs, because they cannot achieve all in the regular system as students.
Let me add.
Okay.
Thank you very much. She has done very well. Yes, we have degrees or levels of disabilities, and these range from mild to moderate to severe and profound. Ideally, all children, no matter the level or degree of impairment, must be included. But our system is such that even the education strategic plan that was established by the Ministry of Education in 2003, it is stated that we need to mainstream all those with less severe disabilities. Yeah, that is from those with mild to moderate disabilities. This can be easily mainstreamed because we don't have adequate numbers of teachers who are trained in these special needs.
Okay.
So as we move from one level to the other, it may come to a time that we need to include all those, even with the severe and the profound. Okay. In America, in a school, a special school called the Rock Terrace School, all children are included. Those with severe, profound, mild, moderate disabilities are included. And there are special teachers, special professionals, social workers, psychologists, psychoanalysts, physiotherapists, all of them are there. So they are all learning together. But in our situation, we are going to mainstream those who can benefit from regular education.
Okay.
Because if you bring one who is deaf or blind, totally blind, he may not, and the teacher who is teaching the child is a robot teacher who hasn't any idea of special needs. He will find it difficult to reach out to these children. So, in the meantime, as contained in the ESP, we are going to integrate all those with mild to moderate disabilities in the mainstream.
Okay.
Whereas those with the severe to profound will continue to benefit from the special segregated schools, but they cannot benefit from regular education. But as we get more teachers trained in special needs, as the situations improve and the resources are there, then it should be possible for a school to integrate all children who have disabilities that range from mild to profound. They need intensive care.
But since you talk of benefits, let's look at what the student or the country at large stands to benefit from the inclusive education.
Oh, thank you very much. For inclusive education, it has several benefits. Some people say reasons for inclusion. One, nature even abhors segregation. Yes. So we should live together, we should learn together, we should play together. So it is better to include all these children in the school or in mainstream schools so that they can share, they can learn, they can play, they can learn from each other. So that is one aspect. Then when they are included, we shall be able to respect them. When they are marginalized or they are not included, we look at them differently. But when we are included, we also learn from them, we share. And even those who are the so-called normal, they also know that those with disabilities have special talents. Some are gifted, some are very good, and they can learn from them. So that we are able to minimize exclusion. Then also, children become happy when they learn together. Children, when they are learning together,
they feel belonged.
They feel belonged. They don't even segregate. They all play together, they share, they do everything together. So why don't you promote that for children to live together? So that in the end, we are going to produce or have an inclusive society. Inclusive education will lead to the creation of an inclusive society where there's respect for all people, irrespective of their disabilities. So that is another one. The other benefit is that economically, as you put up special school, you go to put up a regular school, it is economically better to put them together. So one school, but the resources must be enriched. The teachers must be trained so that they teach and use those systems at the same time. So it becomes cost effective if you are to promote inclusion. The other benefit is that when they are marginalized, they cannot grow, they cannot develop, they cannot go to school, they cannot acquire any skills. But when we are together, socially, it promotes, it boosts their confidence. Then they rise to, they will enjoy all those rights of association, going to school, accessing education, so that we shall be able to respect them, give them the dignity that they deserve, and we shall all live and grow together. Then also, from research work, there is no indication, there is no evidence that suggests that when children are segregated, they will learn better. It's rather, they tend to learn better when they are together. So inclusive education will address these needs so that we don't have them at this with blindness or hearing impairment, but with one people staying together, learning together, respecting each other, and we are growing and developing together. So that that one, the society who have been looking down on those people, all those negative tendencies, the negative regards they give to them will be minimized. So it is very good to have inclusive education that will lead to the promotion of an inclusive society.
You want to add up to that?
Yeah, I think you said it all, but maybe I'll just add that that's all boils down to independent living. So we are trying to say that inclusive education will let every child with special needs has some independency. They will not depend on the family, neither on the society or on the nation. And on the flip side, when you look at it internationally, then with that, we can also talk about being participating or as a nation in the process of development. We can also be proud to say that Ghana, as we have signed a lot of treaties and has signed a lot of whatever, prepare a lot of policies, we can also say that we are on the route to what? The real development. And maybe with that, if we are recognized well that from the policy state we move to the implementation state, then maybe that can add more value to the nation as a country. So I think the policy on education, inclusive education, it's all about independent living of every child with special needs so that they don't become a burden as we see that.
Then more importantly, there are myths surrounding disability. When we are all included, that myth is broken and everybody becomes free.
But speaking of policy, is there any policy by the Ministry of Education that supports inclusive education?
Yeah.
Maybe that will talk, then she will come in. From 1961 to 2003, there was no clear-cut, comprehensive policy for inclusion. But there were policy issues. Right down from 1961. 1961 Education Act, that is the first one. There was a policy to enroll all children who have reached school-going age. In those days, it was pegged at 6 years. So that all children who have reached school-going age, including those with disabilities. But we didn't have a document on inclusion. But they existed, and they have been existing, so many of them. Apart from that one, we also have even the FQ, 1995-96 to 2005 FQ. Also, makes room to include all children in school and make sure that they come to school. Apart from that, even the Children's Act, Act 560 of 1998, also promotes inclusion and makes sure that all children have access to quality education. Apart from this one, the 2006 Disability Act, Act 715. That is now a law, law on persons with disability. That too also caters for that. Yeah, this was there, but there was no clear-cut policy on inclusive education. Apart from that, there have been many of them. Even the ESP, Education Strategic Plan of 2003, which has been revised from 2010 to 2020, also make sure that every child must be on board. But in 2012, since there was no clear-cut, comprehensive policy on inclusive education, that will give guidance and direction to implementing inclusion, attempts have been made to produce a clear-cut, comprehensive policy on inclusive education. This started in January 2012. And to date, in fact, the Education Service, and for that matter, the Special Education Division, and for that matter, Ghana Education Service, have developed a policy that has reached a certain standard. And very soon, this policy will be outlawed. When the division started, they got support from the Ghana Blind Union to support the division to move the policy forward. So they supported us with funding to do some reviews. Then UNICEF also came in and has given some tremendous support to the policy development. So at this stage, we have reached a certain higher level of an inclusive education policy, so that we believe, we hope that by the end of this year, the policy will come out, where we shall have a clear-cut, comprehensive policy to promote inclusion.
We hope so. So you want to come in before we wrap up.
So those are some of the policies that, as you said, from Ghana. And I think Ghana is drawing all these policies out from the international policies. For instance, we have ratified the UN Convention on the Rights of People with Disabilities, which is a universal design, which is a universal treaty that every nation in the world is trying to draw something unique from to put up their own laws. So out of the fact that we have the Disability Act, what do we have internationally guiding us? So in the UN Convention on the Rights of People with Disabilities, there is inclusive education, which we have to attain. Maybe in that process, that is why we brought it into our Millennium Development Goals. It's one which we have to achieve. So from that level, Ghana is trying to move abreast with time. And that is why we have a lot of all these policies in place, just because it is there internationally. If you do this, you are, qualified, or you are rated this percentage, this. But I have a problem with that. Do we always just have the policies in place without really implementing them? That's the issue. So when we talk about policy in Ghana, we have a lot.
We have a lot.
But we don't have
even the 1992
really
Constitution. The 1992 Constitution.
My time is up.
Article 25, 36, 37, 38, and parts of 39. So give room to this one. So there are a lot of policies in Ghana that address inclusion.
We just hope they will be implemented, because it looks like the inclusive education system is a good one, and it's going to create belongingness among the students, among the children. Thank you very much.
Yeah, what we are developing now, we have implementation plan. So if you don't develop the implementation plan and the policy is there, they cannot see the light of day. So with the implementation plan that we have developed, it will add up to make sure that
so we are calling on all Ghanaians, from the home to the school, to the family, to the nationwide, that people should come on board to really have this reality, to really help whatever you need to do as a parent, as a student, as a teacher, to make this realization come to pass in the life of people with special needs.
Okay.
Let Ghana wake up to that call to have this inclusive education.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. My guests this morning have been Thomas Patrick Otta, who is the Deputy Director of Special Education Division, GES. Next to him is Sefa Kokomabu-Pomei, Policy Analyst and founder of the Enlightening and Empowering People with Disability. And we're talking about inclusive education. Let us all come on board to help students with disabilities achieve their aim on earth. It's still the breakfast show. Do stay tuned.
Europeans. 1482 is the oldest European building outside Europe. The English were active in Cape Coast. The Cape Coast Castle, built in 1654, the residence of the Governor General up to 1874. The Europeans spread eastward. The English were active in Jamestown, building James Fort and Asher Fort. And the Dutch built the Osu Castle, which up to today is the seat of government in Ghana. The European contacts eventually resulted in the transatlantic slave trade. Paga and Salaga in the north of Ghana were local markets where this trade took place. From the north, the slaves were marched hundreds of miles to the south of the country. A turning point in this